Hello, witches and wizards, and welcome back to Potterwatch, the best unofficial Harry Potter news, gossip, games, everything in the Wizarding World. It's all right here on this Harry Potter Wizarding World podcast. Of course, happy Friday for those people who've made it to the weekend and are not working, like myself, unfortunately. You have another episode of the podcast. It's episode 12, and as always on a Friday, we of course delve deep into the weeds of a chapter of the Harry Potter books, one chapter per week. Of course, technically episode 6 of this, we're still in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, not the Sorcerers, it is Philosophers, argue amongst yourselves. And we are on chapter 6, the journey from platform 9 3/4. And again, just like Diagon Alley, I was shocked about how much there is to talk about in this chapter. Not as much as Diagon Alley. I think that was my favourite episode so far. Just the amount of details and things it sets up and just tangents we went off. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Of course, if you've not watched that episode, go back and watch it. They're all in a playlist. And yeah, starting from chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived, we'll be going through for the next 4 years still. I'll be 31 by the time this all finishes, which is just absolutely amazing. Still weird to think where life will be when this series does finish, and what I'll be like, and obviously where I am at in life, and obviously how we channel is, stuff like that. So yeah, let's just crack into it. Of course, any comments and thoughts you have, I love talking to you guys down below with your sort of like thoughts and, you know, what I've said, and we can go off tangents with that. So yeah, like I say, really good. So without further ado, do like, do subscribe, do comment, do share. And yeah, let's aim for the 100 subscribers first of all, and we'll work his way from there. So the journey from platform 9 3/4, it's as it says, it's what it is on the tin. It's a journey from platform 9 3/4 up to Hogwarts. So we get Harry back at the Dursleys, Dark King's Cross, all the panic that invokes, onto the train. We meet Ron, we meet Hermione, Neville, the Weasleys, Malfoy again, formally, and we get all the way up to Hogwarts with a knock on the door. So let's go. So like I say, obviously this is a bit different to the film where Harry just gets taken to straight from Diagon Alley with Hagrid to King's Cross. He's like, get to your ticket, Harry. It's very important. And he just vanishes. It's a bit clunky. Why wouldn't you just walk in there? You know, but obviously they've got to have what happens in the book. But no, in this, Harry does go back to live with the Dursleys, and it wasn't fun. True, Dudley was now scared of Harry, and won't stay in the same room as him, while Aunt Judy and Uncle Vernon didn't shut Harry in. They just ignored him completely. Like, if a chair was there, it's empty, and it was an improvement, and this is how sad Harry's life is at this point still. It was an improvement, but it did get a bit depressing after a while. Like, just imagine that, like, you're in a house and everyone's just ignoring you. For a full month, that is horrible. Like, they give him like the scraps of food, and you know, just no one talks to you, nothing. It's just such a lonely, horrible existence to me. I can't imagine it. You're like, you just sat there and you know no one's going to speak to you. You just pretend it's empty. It must really have an effect on you mentally. But if that's an improvement, it's so bad. That's an indictment on how bad Harry's life was before. They were half terrified, half furious about, you know, this situation. But Harry, the reason it probably is an improvement, he kept his room with his new owl for company. He decided to call her Hedwig, a name he found in a history of magic. So again, he's just up there reading his books, being a bit like Hermione, you know, proper investing his time into reading and finding out about things. And I wonder what Hedwig History of Magic. Let's see what sort of book it is. So it says here, Saint Hedwig, prior to, obviously, it was a medieval witch or wizard, and yeah, so Saint Hedwig, that's all they've got. It's a German female name, so it's possible Hedwig was a German witch in History of Magic. So yeah, not much known. Not sort of, sometimes she'll use like Cornelius Agrippa, or Merlin, of course, you know, like actual real life sort of wizarding people. You know, sometimes she invents them, and this time it looks like she might have just invented it. He read into the night again, very Hermione. So it's just how you think he'd remember a lot of this. I know that sort of panic when he gets to Hogwarts. He's like, oh god! But if he's reading a lot of his stuff already, you think, oh, maybe he would have a decent start. Because I doubt Ron's reading his books. Like, the only reason Harry's doing it is because he's got nothing else to do. So you think he'd have picked up a few things, but there we go. There we go. And he every night he chalked off like one day closer to September 1st. And again, that's that thing we've talked about before. Like, Harry's such a weird guy, and it's mentioned like the other books too. Like, Harry Potter is a straight shot. Not only is he this, and this, he looks forward to going back to school. Because like the summer holidays for us all were the best time ever. Like, that's 6 weeks off, or you know, if in America or different countries you get a lot longer, but in like the UK, it's 6 weeks. The 6 weeks holidays are the most bliss 42 days ever. That terrifying thing of getting to the last week of August. Like, oh God, we're going back in a minute. We're going back. Yeah, not fun at all. But for Harry, it's like, oh, I can't wait. September 1st, I'm going off to this new life. Whatever it is, I think it's even referenced here. Whatever it is, it can't be worse than at the Dursleys. So obviously, we're getting closer and closer to September 1st, and he's like, oh God, best ask the Dursleys if they can take me. And he's like going down, he's like the grunting, and Dudley runs out the room. And obviously at this point, Dudley has lived with his pig's tail. Again, not the hair, he's not got pig's tail's hair, he's got an actual pig's tail on him. And what is he not seeing his friends? What's been the excuse? Like, because he can't go out with a pig's tail on, or can he? He's just got to hide it. Because obviously in the film it grows out of his trousers, but in reality, can he hide it in his pants or something? Is it actually not just magically sticking out all the time? Again, obviously it'll be interesting to see how they do that in the television show. But like I say, Dudley's still got his tail. He's had it for a month. That must be horrible. Imagine you got the toilet. Again, not to get a bit too gross, but if it's dangling down in the toilet, does it get excrement on it? It must not be icing, like, just like sitting on it. Oh, so he's had that for a full month, and they're like, the Dursleys are like, oh, go on then. And he's asking, I've got a train at 11 o'clock tomorrow at platform 9 3/4. He's asked for a lift. They're just grunting at him. He goes, thank you. And he goes, Vernon pipes up, funny way to get to a wizard school. Magic carpers all got punches, have they? Where is his school anyway? I don't know, realising the first time. It doesn't say, it just says platform 9 3/4. His aunt and uncle stared. Platform what? So again, this is a thing, because we're going to talk about Molly and her sort of thing. Is this Petunia pretending she doesn't know, and like she doesn't want to give it away? A bit like in Order of the Thing, it's a bit like, I sometimes try and not jump about the sort of stories, but I think when there's a comparison, it's probably important to do so. You think about platform 9 3/4. She must have gone there with her parents and dropped Lily off a few times, at least 7, at least once, at most 7 times. And is this her just pretending, oh, I don't want to know anything about the wizard world, I don't want to reveal I know anything, and she's like, oh, like, looking at him like, and Vernon's going, well, that doesn't exist. But again, going to Order of the Phoenix, she's like, here's where Dementors, and she goes like, the wizard, the guys who got Azkaban, and she's like, how did you know that? I heard the boy and Lily talking, and obviously at that point you think it's James, but obviously, as it turns out, it's Severus Snape. But at that point she sort of slips, and Vernon's like really shocked. So I think at this point she's just been really reserved. She's probably like, I don't want to give anything away to Vernon, but I know things about this world, this horrible world. I hate it as much as him. So I think she's just pretending. And this point, Vernon's just like, oh, brilliant. Like, yeah, I'll take you there just to laugh at you, because this place is barking. It doesn't exist. And then he obviously goes, I wouldn't take you unless we were going down to London anyway, because on the September 1st, Dudley is having his pig's tail removed. And what I think here is, what hospital's doing this? Like, surely you can't just rock up to like London Royal Infirmary, or like Almond Street Children's Hospital. But like, yes, my son's got a pig's tail. Are they going to has Hagrid sort of gone to Dumbledore like, oh, Professor Mr. Dumbledore, as he called him 2 chapters ago, Mr. Dumbledore? There may have been a little accident where Harry's cousin. Well, he somehow got a pig's tail on his bottom. When I went to pick, it wasn't me, I promise. Well, I don't know what happened. Maybe Harry had a combustion of accidental magic, but he does now have a pig's tail on his bottom. What can we do? Right, Hagrid, leave it with me. And Dumbledore sort of like got them into St Mungo's to have it removed because it's a magical injury, this, having a pigtail on your bottom. But I wonder if they know it's a wizard's hospital, or if they think it's just a normal hospital, or what's going on. Because obviously the way you get in, you've got to go in through like a weird way. It's like an abandoned building, and you've got to like walk through the window or something, is it? Or speak to the dummy at the window. It's odd, yeah. I just always wonder, surely that's not a muggle hospital, because that'd be like an episode like TV, wouldn't it? Channel 5 would have the documentary, the pig kid. This is Dudley Dursley, he has a pig's tail. He's having it removed today. It'd be a great documentary, but yeah, really interesting, Matt. What do you guys think? I am leaning towards, yeah, surely that is going to St Mungo's or something, but they might not be aware, and obviously that Dumbledore's just sort of stringing them along, sort of thing. And one more thing just on this is obviously magic carpets, and obviously we do know that magic carpets are a thing in Harry Potter. They're not. They seem comically magical, like in that sort of sense. You're like, oh, that sort of stereotypical magic, but we do. I believe it's Alibaba. Obviously, again, Alibaba, because I'm sure Alibaba is associated with magical carpets. In like for Alibaba's carpets, you're like almost like not Aladdin, the other one. Simba, is it Simba? Like that sort of flying carpets. Anyway, but near myself, I had an Alibaba's carpet shop. I'm sure in Goblet of Fire there is a man called Alibaba at the Quidditch World Cup who's trying to sell some magic carpets, but it's like Mr. Crouch is having none of it. Like, no, we could not possibly have that. But yes, so Harry wakes up the next morning, and he's woke up at 5 o'clock. He's too excited and nervous. He pulled on his jeans because he didn't want to go over. He changed over clothes. He checked his Hogwarts list again, and like I say, I mean, the Dursleys must be like having a heart attack trying to get all this crapping, and he's owling the car like, oh god, people are going to be looking at them on the motorway, stuff like that. But anyway, it's all packed up. They're being a bit cordial, being a bit too nice. They got off they took 2 hours to drive to London. They reached King's Cross at 10:30 in Portland. Got half an hour here. Uncle Vernon dumped Harry's trunk on the trolley and wheeled it into the station for him. Harry thought this was strangely kind until Uncle Vernon stopped dead, facing the platforms with a nasty grin. Well, there you are, boy. Platform 9, platform 10. Your platform should be somewhere in the middle, but it seems they haven't built it. So he goes, have a good term, and with an even nastier smile, he left without another word. Harry saw and turned and saw the Dursleys drive away, all 3 of them laughing like, this is mad. 1, that's not how King's Cross works. Is this did the author of this book ever go to King's Cross, like, at all? Because you can't just park, like, and somehow see from platform 9 and 10. I'm pretty sure of that. Like, how does that work? Like, mad. Not the most important part, where they somehow got a car in the middle of King's Cross. Bit weird, but not important. What's more important is the fact they've just drove off and left him laughing. Like, they think, if they're under the impression he's not getting back training, do they expect him to just get back home himself, or they go drive back past King's Cross at 1 o'clock this evening at like 7 p.m. and you see Harry sitting there crying or something, and then go, come on, boy, you stupid idiot. Or what? They've just left him stranded there with all this crap, like, laughing at him because they don't think it's real and he's going to get there. It's like, what? I mean, Petunia obviously must know, well, she is actually there. She's still just pretending, but still, yeah. Mad that, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. So he's panicking, going, oh god, what do I do? He's asking passers guy, he even asked a passing guard. He didn't mention platform 9 3/4. He just when's the 11 o'clock train leaving? And when he couldn't tell him like Hogwarts, the guy's like, oh, time waste, just stupid people. Obviously, platform 9 3/4. Do you think you're being funny? Do you? I don't. That's not in the book. That's a movie joke. But I do like that. And then Harry's like panicking. Do I have to tap the ticket box or anything? What do I do? Maybe Hagrid forgot something. And then out of nowhere, Molly Weasley. This is the first Weasley to ever speak. Packed with Muggles, of course. And this speaker was a plump woman who was got 4 boys, all with flaming red hair. Each of them pushing a trunk like Harry, and they had an owl. That like. Harry's heart's hammering, like that must be like, oh god, I've been there when I'm lost or something, and then you hear someone just go, oh yeah, and you're like, the relief is like, oh thank god. Like, I remember being on my new job and stuff, go to the office for the first time, it's like, oh god, where do I go, and then you just hear this thing, it's like, oh, breathe, perfect, we're safe here, we're doing okay. And then, for whatever reason, she goes, "Now, what's the platform number?" said the boy's mother. This is Molly Weasley. Obviously, again, at the time, I'm not going to talk about what might have been happening, for the future books, but, oh, that's hot. In context of this Wizarding World, Molly has been to Hogwarts at least 7 times herself, maybe a few more because she had older brothers with Pruitts. So let's just tack on 2 or 3. That's 10 times. She's then taken Charlie, Bill, Percy. So Charlie's been there 7. She's probably on about a 20-second visit to platform 9 3/4 here. Yet she's like, "Oh, what's a platform?" And a small girl piped out 9 3/4. And obviously, it's one of those things like, well, why doesn't she know the platform? And there is a good, the sort of, again, going back to like the Super Carlin brothers, some of their theories, like Hogwarts is a dragon or, Filch, Poltergeist, some of them do get a bit far fetched now because they're probably scraping the barrel. The Dumbledore's big plan one does make sense to me, especially in the context of Philosopher's Stone. As we'll come to see, where Harry thinks Dumbledore is literally just testing him. And this sort of makes sense, like, okay, right, just sort of be there, that friendly face, we know the Weasleys, they'll be good people, the Gryffindors, like, I want Harry to be a good guy, not a bad guy. So yeah, let's get Molly there, she can shout out, try and gain his attention, and it works, but obviously at the same time, it's still a bit wonky, the sort of writing there. But there we go. And we've obviously then got getting onto platform 9 3/4. Harry sees 1 or 2 of the boys, so like Percy and Fred, and obviously we get the, "Can't you time, George?" Sorry, George J. Only joking. I am Fred. Just a brilliant joke. Honestly, woman, call yourself our mother. Probably one of the best lines in Philosopher's Stone, actually. He rung up, but the second later he was gone. The third brother was now walking briskly towards the ticket office. He was almost there, and then suddenly he wasn't anywhere. And then Harry, so brave, like, honestly, I can't do this now. I'm 27. Like, going up to like a stranger, going, "Excuse me, how do you get onto the platform?" He's like really polite about it, and we then get introduced to Ron. She pointed at the last and youngest of her sons. He was tall, thin, and gangling with freckles, big hands and feet, and a long nose. Oh, Potter got big hands and feet. Like, Harry, why are you looking at his hands for? Don't be describing hands. And obviously, all you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. Best do it a bit of a run if you're nervous. And then he went through, he started to walk, people jostled him on the way. Like, this is what I mean, he's running quite a distance. People, like, a busy train station, you can't really, he's got a massive thing and people are bumping into you. Surely this is, like, not being funny, probably the worst train station in the world to do this. Like, you always see in the films people walk by Percy and stuff, it's never actually, like, empty, and, like, you think, how's no one noticing that? How is no one noticing that? We talk about like the secrecy of wizards and stuff, yet we've got a magical barrier in one of the busiest train stations in England, a prime time, like, September, and it's like, what we doing? This is like prime time for trains arriving to London from like up north, people coming from like Manchester for like meetings and things. If you set off for like 8, 9 o'clock, you're getting there for like 11. So this place is gonna be pretty busy right now. So yeah, a bit stupid really, but there we go. He was expecting a crash, but it didn't come, and a scarlet steam engine was waiting next to a platform packed with people. A sign overhead said Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. Harry looked behind him and saw a wrought iron archway where the ticket box had been, with the words platform 9 3/4. There we go. And yes, obviously, again, because this is platform 9 3/4, what's the other train behind it? I just never get. I know it's the artist's drawing, but what is that other train? Just a small thing. Obviously, we then get the introduction to Neville, with a round-faced boy who was saying, "Gran, I've lost my toad again." "Oh, Neville," he heard the woman sigh. And then we also get Lee Jordan's introduction. A boy with dreadlocks was surrounded by a small crowd. "Give us a look, Lee, go on." The boy lifted the lid, and the people around him shrieked and yelled as something inside poked out long and hairy legs. And obviously we find that this is a tarantula. It's like, that's not on the list. Does he keep this? Does it get confiscated? We don't really ever hear of Lee George's tarantula. Surely this would be causing like havoc in the Gryffindor common room, especially for Ron, who's terrified of spiders. Like, imagine that just on the loose every night. I don't think that's an owl, cat, or totally. Get it back. Give it to your mum and dad. Harry's then trying to lift his very heavy trunk onto the train. He can't do it, and we get Fred and George. And what I will say here, obviously, he's about to find a free compartment. We'll get onto that, but yeah, actually, so we get Fred and George helping. He tucked away in a corner of a compartment. He pushes away his sweaty hair because it was such a workout for him, and they spot the scar. And the other goes, "Blimey, are you? He is, aren't you?" What? Harry Potter? Oh, him. I mean, yes, I am. The two boys gawped, and Harry felt himself going red. And again, how do they know about the scar? Because I don't think that's something Dumbledore would tell people. Is it? Because let's be honest, there's only 4 people who we think, even the Ministry of Magic didn't get involved in this. This is an order of a thing, it's operation. The people who were involved were Dumbledore, McGonagall, she wasn't involved, but she saw it. So we're really Dumbledore and Hagrid who were involved in this. Sirius comes and sees him. They're the 4 people. So who's told them about this scar? Like, how has it become famous? That's, what? It's always bothered me that. Like, how does, is it Rita Skeeter's great reporting? So how does... I want to see what other people think. The Wizarding World. Know about Harry's scar. How has it become famous? So yeah, it was asked 3 years ago on the Harry Potter wiki. So yeah, they're just going. They recognise him on the street. So do people? I guess if people see him on the street again, it's just the sort of thing of I guess he looks a bit like James, but we know he lives with Muggle. The sort of it's just one of those odd ones. Obviously the only good one is Hagrid. I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that. But yeah, I just always think why do they know about the scar? Because obviously, like it said, they're the only 4 people who saw him. Obviously, Voldemort was 2, but I don't think he saw the scar. But yeah, there you go. His scar is famous. It's legend. The scar is legend. But it probably shouldn't be. If Dumbledore, I don't think Dumbledore's leaking to everyone. Oh yeah, he had a great big lightning scar on his forehead. But did you have a scar of a map of the London Underground on my left knee? Yes, much more impressive. So they run away because their mum wants them, and obviously they're talking to talking to his mum, and Harry's round the corner in his compartment, an empty compartment, right? So if it was 10:30, he's mucked around for about 20 minutes. He's getting on with I'm not being funny. I don't think it should be an empty compartment at that time. Like the amount of people who would have got there first, and you all spread out. It shouldn't be an empty compartment at this time. Especially if just when it sets off, it's still empty, and Ron comes along. Can I sit there? Seems a bit odd for a busy train. I don't know how long the train's meant to be, but we come to see. There's a few less people at Hogwarts than there probably should be, but there we go. They hopped off the train, and Ron has got something in his nose, and this is going to be such big news in the Harry Potter TV show. We're going to find out what that is. Oh my god, guys! Oh my god, what? We're going to find out what the thing on Ron's nose was, and I'm going to stop you right there. Why do we care? I don't care. Do you care? I don't care. But we're going to find out. I'm probably guessing it is just flu powder because, that's probably how we got there because Arthur's not there this time. And then, obviously, he's got to get out of the way. Get off me. He sounds a bit like a gnome. But the way it's spelled Geroff, it's like the gnome nose. Like, get off. And then, as they call Ron, he got something on his nosy. He was then told to shut up. The oldest boy came straight into sight. He'd already changed into his billing black robes, and Harry noticed a shiny silver badge on his chest with the letter P on it. Castiel Longmother, I'm up front with the prefects. Have you got 2 compartments for yourself? Oh, are you a prefect, Percy? Said one of the twins with an air of great surprise. You should have said something. We had no idea. Hang on. I think I remember you saying something. Once or twice, a minute, all summer. Oh, shut up. And obviously, we'll come to realise how pompous Percy is over the next little bit. He's not really a massive thing here, but, he's... I was a prefect once I got into my, sort of 5th year, my 11th year at school. I wasn't like Percy though. I just obviously had to help. I wasn't a boarding school, so I wasn't patrolling at night or anything. I was just, I had extra responsibilities, things like that. I was obviously part of like a sports kind. I had me put my hands in every pot at school, a bit like Harry actually. In a sense, I was on the foot. I was playing sports. I was in the sports academy. I was this out, yeah. But I was not like Percy, but yeah, I was. It's basically his sort of like for the first three, but that's like all Percy. He's the prefect. You know what I mean? Obviously becomes head boy. It's like there's a book in the next one like called Prefects Who Got Power. It's like, why is that a book? That's such a niche subject. Shouldn't it be more like the head boys? Like Prefects Who Got Power sounds like such a weird. Who's obviously outside the two prefects who even give a shit about that? Who is that book for? Oh, I don't know. And then obviously, Mrs. Weasley's like, please don't get into trouble, guys. You're speaking to friend George. If I get another letter telling me you've blown up a toilet, we've never blown up a toilet. Great idea, though. And she's like, it's not funny. And look after Ron. But obviously, we're going to get a call back to it at the end of the book where Fred George do saying like a toilet seat to Harry when he's battled Snape. No, I'm joking. We're all grown-ups here. He battles Quirrell. And then they get on to, guess who we met on the toilet? Harry Potter. Oh, and then Ginny's like, oh, can I go and see him? And it's like, why would Ginny, she's never met him, Ron's not really talked about him yet. Why would she fancy him? I mean, not thank, but she's like, oh, can I go and meet him? You've already seen him, Ginny, and the poor boy isn't something you've got, like, I assume. And obviously, that's the first sort of thing where you see from Mrs. Weasley that she really cares about Harry already. It's like, oh, that poor boy, he was ever so polite. He's really nice. And you don't just goggle at him. She knows he'll have a bit of a hard time. But obviously, that sort of goes against the friend, this sort of Dumbledore plan. But I guess if she's faking, but I don't, that's up for you to decide whether you think that's a good one or not. And she's like, is it really Fred? Ask him. Sorry, Scar. It's really there, like lighting it again. Why do we know that and how? Poor dear, no wonder he was so alone. He was ever so polite. Never mind that. And this is one thing like friend George, like, I think they do, obviously, sort of mellow out, especially with Harry, like, they are really good friends with him in the end, but it's like, do you ever mind that? Do you think he knows what who looks like? It's like, come on, guys, he's not a guy you just go in the zoo and ask. He's a real person. And she's like, Mrs. Weasley flips it. She's like, you're forbidden to ask you that. Don't you dare. Well, you need to remind you of that on your first day. And then it's like, oh, God, the whistle sounds like, oh, God, the train's about to set off. It'd be funny if these Weasleys missed it like 2 years in a row. And their younger sister began to cry. Don't worry, Ginny. You'll be in the story next year. Probably not for the best, but there we go. And the great line, we'll send you a Hogwarts toilet. And the train then sets off. And then, obviously we get Harry felt a great leap. Mrs. Valang, I was referencing, Harry felt a great leap of excitement. He didn't know what he was going to, but it had to better what he was leaving behind. And this is what, obviously, I went to like uni, and I had quite a few, like my mum passed away the month before I went to uni, so at 18. And obviously, like that last month was pretty crap, and like that escapism of going to university, like that drive down, like just sort of like new life. I can completely relate to that. Like, obviously, for Harry, it's been 10 years of crap, but he's going to this place where he's obviously uber famous as well, which I can't relate to that part. Can definitely relate to the first part. It's like, wow, I don't know what's going to be happening here, but surely it can't be any crapper than it was back there. And that sort of whole new world excitement. It's just, it's so relatable, and I do like it. Then Ron comes in. Everywhere else is full. Harry saw he still had a black mark on his nose. Like, Ron, just. How hard is it? What have you done? Have you rubbed your face in the flu powder or something? Or have you been sniffing instant Pruvian darkness powder or something? How is it not coming off? And then friend Josh come in, be like, hey Ron, listen, we're going down the middle of a train. Lee John's got a giant tarantula down there. Harry, did we introduce ourselves? Friend Josh Weasley. This is our brother Ron. See you later then. And so giant tarantula, like, is that a small acromantula, or is that just, like, how big is a giant tarantula compared to an acromantula as well? But yeah, surely that's getting confiscated when it goes to Hogwarts. That is all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say. And then obviously Ron blurts out, "Are you Harry Potter?" Like, Ron, have you ever spoke to someone before? You've got no social skills. And I love the way sort of Stephen Fry does this. Like, I thought it might be one of Fred and George's joke. And have you really got the scar? And it's like, so that's where you know who. But I can't remember it. Nothing, said Ron eagerly. It's like, Ron, your mum told you not to ask any of these questions like not 30 seconds ago. Come on, Ron, snap out of it. This boy he's a human. Don't be just asking about you know who. It's not fascination. Why do you want to know about that? Like, you're a big scaredy cat anyway. You don't want to know about murder and stuff. And then we obviously then Harry and Ron start going at conversation because, as it says here, Harry found Ron as much as fascinating as he found Harry. And obviously he's asking like, wow. Obviously Harry does mention about a lot of green light, but nothing else. So are all your family wizards? I think so. I think Mum's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we never really talk about him. So I'm guessing, obviously, again, second cousins. I can never remember what that means. So what is your second cousin? What is your second... What's my sexual orientation? I don't need to know that just yet. Someone who shares the great-grandparents as you, but not the same grandparents. In other words, your parents and your second cousin's parents are first cousins. So your parents and your... Right. So it's your parents' cousins who is your second cousin, which always baffles me. So there we go. So Ron's Molly Weasley's mum's cousin is an accountant. Maybe they're a squib, because obviously the Pruitts are like a big whizzing family rather than just someone who's non-magical. And it's like, oh, they never talk about him. Like, oh, poor guy. You know, it's not his fault he's an accountant. God. And obviously we then hear, oh, the Weasleys must be one of these really ancient wizarding families. So I heard you went to live with Muggles. What are they like? Horrible. Well, not all of them. That's a relief, Harry. Yeah. We don't want some propaganda against Muggles spread around Hogwarts on your first day. Dumbledore doesn't hear you going, oh, all Muggles must die. It's like, oh God, what have I've created a Grindelwald. I've created another Voldemort. He hates all Muggles, and probably shouldn't have left him with the abusive ones. But no. And he's like, I wish I had 3 wizard brothers. And Ron says glumly 5. So we obviously hear about I'm the 6th in our family to go Hogwarts. She should say I've got to live up to. Bill and Charlie have already left. Bill was head boy and Charlie was captain of the Quidditch. Percy's a prefect. Fred and George mess around a lot, but they still get really good marks. And everyone thinks they're really funny. Everyone expects me to do well as the others, but if I do, it's no big deal because they did it first. And you never get anything new either with 5 brothers. I've got Bill's all robes, Charlie's all wand, and Percy's all rat. So let's just dissect that, obviously. So Bill is the oldest. And it's weird. So yeah, in like the first few books, like Charlie's the sort of like main character brother. You know, you hear a lot about the other well, obviously in this book they go and visit Charlie in Romania. Charlie's the one who organises the sort of stuff with for Norbert. He's the Quidditch guy that this former seeker Harry just keeps getting compared to. And it's not till like book 4, and then book 4 onwards, it's always Bill this, Bill that, Bill gets married, Bill meets Fleur, Bill. Charlie just sort of hides in fades to the background almost, and it's almost that's why he got cut from the films. Outside that one picture in Prison of Azkaban where he's on when they're on holiday in Egypt visiting Bill. But yeah, so it's in like these first books, it sort of roles are reversed, but obviously we learn about Bill being a curse breaker for Gringotts. And we hear Fred and George are really, and they get good grades, except that starts to slip by the time they get to 5th year. So by the time Harry's in 3rd year and they're in 5th year, like Fred and George are not really paying too much attention at school. They're like, yeah, we're pranksters, we're joke shop people, we'll go do that. And obviously they do make a success of it, but much to their mum's avail. And then obviously we learn about, with 5 older brothers, it's more that you pour on when you've got brothers, sadly. Bill's all robes, which again sometimes you hear like they see Ron's ankles and stuff like that. You know, he grows a lot and he goes out of robes quite quick. Charlie's all wand, which is a big thing because the wand he has, it's like unicorn. I can't remember wood, but basically that wand is specifically weakened if it's used by someone else because unicorns are like so loyal. If someone else tries to use the wand, it just means their magic's like a lot crapper. And obviously we know like you can still do magic with another's wand, but it is considerably weaker, and that's why for the first like 2 books, Ron's not the best. Obviously, in the second one, his wand is literally broken in half, and it is a bit crap. But that's one of the main reasons why. And then obviously, Percy's all wrapped. It's like, well, one, not on the school list, mate. You know, cat, toad, owl. It's a C, not an R. God, learn to read, Weasleys. Why would you want a rat as well? Like, I hate rats. Like, this the thought of rat. Oh, why would you want a pet rat? Like, at all? And yeah, just. And obviously, we know we won't go into it just yet. Obviously, who it is and what it is. We might touch on that actually in a minute. But yeah, it's like, no, why would you want to take a rat? It's not on my list. Just don't come with an animal. It's a good job he does, though. Bloody Pettigrew. He'd have free reign of the house, wouldn't he? Do you reckon he ever turned back into a human? Just when everyone's like out or something, like, oh, they're out for a couple of hours, let me turn into human form for a second. Probably not. And yeah, pulled out a fat grey rat which was asleep. He's named Scabbers. He's useless. He hardly ever wakes up. Percy got an owl for being made a prefect, but they couldn't afford. I mean, I got Scabbers instead. So obviously, Harry, you know, someone does get an owl, and like they're not cheap, are they? You know, obviously Hagrid was bought for a birthday present from Hagrid, so fair enough that he's rewarded for being a prefect. You know, it's always nice to get them rewards. Like I say, I always used to get rewarded for doing well stuff. So yeah, completely saying that. And obviously he goes a bit pink, like, oh god, I shouldn't have said that. Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford an owl. After all, he'd never had any money until a month ago, and he told Ron all about having to wear double his old clothes and never getting proper birthday presents. This seemed to cheer Ron up. Hopefully, he left out the part where he's like, yeah, so I was really poor, told him all this stuff, but went to Gringotts last month, and wow, I'm like a wizard millionaire. Like, yeah, I'm rich, I'm famous, I'm cool. You know, Ron, bathe in my glory, because that probably wouldn't make him feel great, but hopefully he didn't leave the part where he's like, yeah, I think, yeah, you know, I've got loads of money. He obviously told him, until Hagrid told me, I didn't know anything about being a wizard or parents or Voldemort. Ron gasped, you said you know whose name? Sounded shocked and impressed. I'd have thought you of all people. I'm not trying to be brave or anything saying my name. I just never knew you shouldn't. Well, you did, Harry. I'm not being funny. Hagrid said this like 3 times to you. People don't speak the name, don't like speaking it. You shouldn't do it. You know, I don't want to say it. And every time you almost said Voldemort in Diagon Alley, you were like, oh, you know who. Like, so don't pretend you didn't know. Just say, oh, God, yeah, sorry, I just forgot. You know, don't make up lies, Harry. Don't be lying, mate. No need for it. Obviously for the first time, something that he'd been worrying about. I bet I'm worst in class. Well, I hope not, Harry. You've been reading your books all like summer holidays. Like, come on, you surely remembered anything. And Harry's like, you won't. There's loads of people who come from Muggle families and they learn quickly. You know? And it's quite funny because Ron is quite literally as bad or as good as Harry. Sometimes as bad in a lot of things. It's like, Ron's like, oh, you'll learn quickly enough. You know, there's a lot of... It's like, Ron, you're going to get to learn quickly enough, mate. You know, you're no amazing person either. I'm going to be honest. You're not the best at anything. But there we go. They went back while they'd been talking. It'd been carried them out of London, and they were speeding past fields full of cows, sheep. They were quiet for a time, watching fields and lanes flit past. About 12:30. So this, you know, let's say they spoke for about 30 minutes. You know, that's a good hour being not talking. A corridor. Clattering outside the corridor, and a smiling dimpled woman slid back the door. Anything off the trolley's days? Harry, who hadn't had any breakfast, leapt to his feet, but Ron's ears went pick again. He muttered he brought sandwiches. Aww. Harry went out into a corridor. He'd never had any money for sweets, and he was looking to find all the Mars bars he could buy. Why Mars bars as well? Like, Mars bars aren't not that. I'm going on a limb here. Mars bars, not nice. You know, again, I don't know if you know, toffee crisp, love a toffee crisp. You know. Just so many better chocolate, you know, dairy milks, you know, just anything, you know, a glass and a half, whatever you want, you know. Mars bars, come on, Harry. We can do better than Mars bars. They make you feel so sick after like one bite of Mars bar as well. So yeah, not fun at all. But obviously there were no Mars bars there. There instead was Bertie Bott's every flavour beans, Drubel's best blowing gum, chocolate frogs, pumpkin pasties, cauldron cakes, licorice ones, and other strange things Harry'd never seen in his life. Not wanting to miss anything, he got some of everything. He paid the woman 11 sickles and 7 bronze canuts. And this is what I mean. So in the book, in the film, it's always like annoys me when people go, "Oh, Harry was such a dick." He didn't buy the lot. Like, that's in the film. He goes, "We'll have the lot." But in the book, he just buys one of everything. One chocolate frog, which is weird because there's definitely more than one chocolate frog here, as we will soon see, because we start opening his other chocolate frogs up. But there we go. Sorry, he got some of everything. Never mind. So he didn't buy the lot anyway. He just got some of everything. So he's got a lot of stuff, and obviously the craziness we've all had, like the Bertie Bott's every flavour beat, and yeah, some like the rotten egg. It's just why am I eating that? Like what am I doing? Chocolate frogs are great. Go be waiting the new ones. Obviously the little green ones. I do prefer the sort of solid chocolate ones, the sort of actual chocolate coloured ones. But there we go. And then yeah, like Jewel's best blowing gum and the licorice ones. I hate licorice. Yeah, the smell of it makes me feel ill. And then obviously Harry comes back in and he's like, "Hungry are you?" Oh, dickhead! Like runs back. What a knob this guy is. Starving. Taking a large bite of a pumpkin pasty. And like, not even a pumpkin pasty. Like, why is that a thing? Like a pasty with pumpkin in sounds awful. Like, yeah, fair enough, a bit of pumpkin spice latte, but pumpkin pie, like, no, we're not having pumpkin flavoured things. And pumpkin pasties, pumpkin juice, like, why would anyone want the juice taste like pumpkin? I don't know, but yeah, it can't be nice, a pumpkin pasty. And then Ron takes out a lumpy package. Also, why the lumpy? Molly can like cook and use magic to this stuff, yet they're lumpy. Oh, the corned beef. She always forgets I don't like corned beef. And this is like a real thing that goes on in the books. And it's not, not blaming Molly here. She's got a lot on, but I feel like, yeah, Ron's a sort of, it is implied she's sort of like the least love. You've got Percy, who's obviously very proud of him. It's mad because Ron does like all the great stuff ever, like helps save Philosopher's Stone, helps shuts down the Chamber of Secrets, rescues his sister. Prisoner don't really do it. Goblet does bugger all actually. Stops the prophecy, helps in the fight against Dumbledore, and then literally saves the world with Harry. But there we go. And Fred George, she always likes Bill Percy, Charlie, and obviously Jiggy being the youngest and the first daughter, and he's always just like the old forgotten one, like with his Christmas presents. Oh, I don't like my room. Oh, I don't like this. She always sort of just forgets, and obviously with dress robes, as we'll soon see. And then Harry's like, "I'll swap you." And she's like, "You don't want this. It's all dry." Why is it dry? Like, she hasn't got much time. This is what I don't get as well. Like, anytime Harry now goes to the Weasleys after this, the food is always immaculate. Like, the best food ever, Harry describes it as, like, better than Hogwarts. Like, so why are these sandwiches dry? Like, after this, she's an amazing cook, but she can't make a corned beef sandwich. Of course, these corned beef sandwiches just lay in the corner, forgotten. They don't get eaten. Harry's like, "I've never had anyone to share anything with it. This is amazing." It's like, oh, it's so sad. Like, this guy's never had a friend or anything for 10 years. It's awful. Of course, when we come on to a chocolate frogs, they're not really frogs, are they? He was starting to feel nothing would surprise him. "No," said Ron, "but see what card it is. I'm missing Agrippa. Cornelius Agrippa, as I mentioned earlier." "Oh, of course you would." "No, yeah, Ron. Yeah, that thing of I'm not it's my first day here. There's cards inside to collect. Witches and Wizards. I've got about 500. Well, you can only get 101 on the games. I want 500, but I haven't got Agrippa or Ptolemy." Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog card. It showed a man's face. He wore half-moon glasses, had a long crooked nose, and flowing silver hair and beard. "So this is Dumbledore. Don't tell me you never heard Dumbledore." "I just said this is Dumbledore. I've heard of Dumbledore. Can I have a frog? I might get Agrippa." And then obviously we hear about Albus Dumbledore. And this must be like getting Cristiano. I remember getting match attacks. I used to collect football cards and stuff. I remember one time getting 101 Cristiano Ronaldo at the. So we went to the shop and then we went to pick up a Chinese takeaway. I've never been so amazed. Oh, it's biggest day of my life. I get that 101 Ronaldo. What a time. And then obviously we hear about Dumbledore. He's currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered the greatest wizard of the modern times. Professor Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945. It's amazing that obviously that's like a thing that spawns something else after this. For the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, which let's see if we can get the 12 uses of Dragon's Blood, because I think you hear about some of them in Death or Hallows, but let's have a look. 12 uses of Dragon Blood, Harry Potter. So the 12 uses of Dragon's Blood. Here we go. So history of using uses a bloody dragon stake. So blah blah blah. Come on, what? I want to know the uses. Although claimed you already discovered 8 of them, Brody's note the 12th use was an oven cleaner, and some of his use include spot remover, being a cure for Veracruz, and used in the Wolfsbane potion. It only tells you them. So oven cleaner. Wow, thanks Dumbledore. Why are you cleaning your oven? Why do you have an oven? Where is your oven? Did you use the house elves? Anyway, his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel, and this is always odd. And this is what I'm excited almost about the TV sort of goes into. What alchemy does Dumbledore do? He's never. I've never considered him an alchemist. And his partner, Nicholas Flamel, Nicholas Flamel created the Philosopher's Stone years ago. So what alchemy is Dumbledore doing? What's he trying to create? What are they working on together? And obviously the TV show goes show stuff. So hopefully they sort of show the stuff they've worked on, because it's an interesting thing. What sort of alchemy does? Why the partners? Yeah, just always intrigued me. That just out of curiosity, always intrigued me. Anyway, it then goes on to say Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Can you imagine seeing Professor Dumbledore 10-pin bowling? Again, this is more like the Wizarding World was a bit wackier and crazier, but I just can't imagine Professor Dumbledore at 10-pin bowling at all. I love to, but I just can't. I mean, can you? I wonder how many strikes he gets. And then obviously Harry turned it over, and to his astonishment, Dumbledore's face had disappeared. What? And then he's gone, and Ron's like, well, you can't expect him to stand around all day, can you? He's like, well, in the Muggle world, pictures just stay still, you know? It's like, and Ron's like, what? Weird. Again, that's always like a Stephen Fry, like, weird, the way he says it's amazing. And then obviously they help themselves to a load of frogs. He then got Dumbledore, Morgana, Hengist of Woodcroft, who founded the Hogsmeade, Albert Grungin, the inventor of the dung bomb, Cersei, she was the woman who guided like the pigs, I think. I might be wrong on that one. Paracelsus, who definitely is the man who he's a famous potioneer, I think a real person as well. And Merlin, of course, medieval, dates unknown. Part of the court of King Arthur, most famous wizard of all time. You know the drill. Tore his eyes away from Julius Cleodina, who was scratching her nose. And I always remember thinking Dumbledore scratched his nose. Like, that seems like a Dumbledore sort of thing, scratching his like broken nose, but it's not. And then obviously Ron's like, you want to be careful with those. When they say every flavour, they mean every flavour. You know, you get the ordinary ones. Chocolate, that's pretty normal. Peppermint, yeah. Marmalade, is that a normal flavour, Ron? I wouldn't consider marmalade a normal flavour at all. I've never gone, oh, I'd love some marmalade sweets right now, or marmalade flavoured chocolate. Not a normal flavour. But then you can get things like spinach, liver, and tripe. George reckon he got a bogey flavoured one once. Ron picked up a green bean, and it's sprouts. Like, yeah. Every flavour of beans. How you got toast? What does toast taste like? This is what I always get. Toast doesn't really have a taste. It's the thing you put on the toast that has a taste. You know, butter, jam, margarine, marmalade. But yeah, toast doesn't really have a flavour. But there we go. He also got baked bean, strawberry, curry. What curry? I'd love to know what curry. Was it a Vindaloo? Was it a Madras? Was it a Rogan Josh? Grass. Again, why does he know what grass tastes like? How does he know that's grass? But, you know, coffee. Lovely flavour. And also, he bit into one like the sardine, and he got a pepper one as well. Which I'm always like, is it pepper? Like salt pepper, like that sort of pepper, or is it a red pepper or green pepper? You know, I'm always intrigued. Anyway, there was a knock at the compartment door, and the round-faced boy from earlier comes in. It's Neville, and Trevor has somehow lost again. He's like, have you seen a toad at all? I've lost him. He gets keeps getting away from us. And I was like, he'll turn up, mate. Well, if you see him, and then Ron's like, I don't know why he's so bothered. If I brought Toad, I'd lose it as quick as I could. Mind you, I brought Scabbers, so I can't talk. Yeah, Ron, you can't talk. You should actually get in trouble for bringing Scabbers, because it's one, it's not on the list. Two, it's a human man who's a bad guy. God, Ron. And then obviously he might have died, you wouldn't know the difference. I tried to turn him yellow yesterday to make him more interesting, but the spell didn't work. And obviously this is interesting because, Ron doing magic outside of school. And after it, Ron never really does like magic with his wand. Obviously he flies with a car and stuff, which again, shouldn't do. But doesn't really ever do proper magic. We then hear... obviously, because of the trace, it won't track if he was at home. He can actually do magic in his time. Anyway, Unicorn's hair was nearly poking out of it. Oh, like this one's been wear and tear. Like no wonder Charlie got a new wand. Or yeah, Charlie got a new wand. Like this unicorn hair poking out of it. What was he doing with it? He was just about to do the spell when the compartment door opened again. The Toadless boy was back, but this time with a girl. She was already wearing her new Hogwarts robes. And this girl has a very bossy, fast voice. This is our first introduction to Hermione Granger. Has anyone seen a Toad? No one's lost one. She had a bossy sort of voice, large bushy brown hair and rather large front teeth. We've already told him I haven't seen it. And then obviously she's like, oh, are you going to do magic? And he does the spell. And this was my Xbox bio song, Xbox 360 and Xbox where you have a bio. And for the longest time, it was Sunshine, Daisies, Butter, Mellow, turn this stupid fat rat yellow. And of course, nothing happened, and she's like, are you sure that's a real spell? Well, it's not very good. I know you tried a few simple ones. Nobody in my family's magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I'm ever so pleased, of course. I mean, it's very rare school of witchcraft there is. I've learned all the set books off by heart, of course. I just wasn't hoping it'll be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who are you? She said all that very fast in one breath, so that's why I did. I wasn't just being weird. And then obviously she's like, I'm Ron Weasley, Harry Potter. She's like, are you really? Again, the holy crickets, it's just such awkward acting, man. Like, I know she's 11, like, the holy crickets, like, it's just, we just need you, really. I know all about you, of course. I got a few extra books for background reading. You're in modern magical history, the rise and fall of the dark arts, great was the events of the 20th century. It's like, am I? And like, that must be so odd, like, oh god, I'm in all these books. And yeah, it's like, goodness, didn't you know? I'd have found out everything I could if it was me. How do you know so much about Harry Potter? Like, this is what I mean, a bit of background reading, like, she doesn't know his cultural impact, surely, on like the wizarding world. You know, the books aren't going to tell you that, I don't think. I think you've got to live and be in the wizarding world to know about that sort of impact he's had. But there we go. And then obviously we talk about the houses and how she's like, I really want to be in Gryffindor. I heard Dumbledore was in it. And then she's like, I don't suppose Ravenclaw would be bad. And then she like leaves. She's like, you change soon. And then Harry's like, what house are your brothers in? And Ron went gloomy again, Gryffindor. Mum and Dad were in it too. I don't know what they're doing, but I don't suppose Ravenclaw would be too bad. But imagine if they put me in Slytherin. That's the house. Well, I mean, you know who was in. Yes, said Ron. And again, this is that sort of thing. Like, well, if people weren't aware that Tom Riddle's Voldemort in like the second one, how do we? Ron's like, yeah, he went at Hogwarts. He was a Slytherin. It's like a big thing. But there we go. And then obviously we talk about Ron's brother's job. Charles in Romania studying dragons and Bill's in Africa doing something for Gringotts. And he's like, did you hear about the break-in? Don't suppose you would, because you live with the Muggles. Someone tried to rob a high security vault. Really? What happened to them? Nothing. That's why it's such big news. They haven't been caught. My dad says it must have been a powerful dark wizard to get around Gringotts. But they don't think they took anything. That's what's odd. Everyone gets scared when things like this, in case it's you know who behind it. Spoiler alert, it was you know who behind it. And it's, again, we talked about this last time, so I won't go into too much detail, but it's just mad how, like, how did they get in? How did they escape? Because obviously we heard about the scratching and stuff. And yeah, obviously powerful dark magic. And this is, he fails, and it's the reason why Voldemort ends up on the back of his head. And yeah, obviously the wizarding jobs, it's always so weird. It's like being a school teacher. Obviously, I'm a qualified teacher, not actually a teacher, but I can be if I wanted to be. It's not like being at Hogwarts. Like it's more like being, obviously because they are professors, it's more like being a university lecturer, I guess, than being a teacher at like a high school. But yeah, it's always weird to think like there's obviously all these jobs at the ministry. yeah, you got Green. Look, it's just never something we really talk about too much, like all the other sort of career opportunities people can have. You're either at the Ministry, Hogwarts, or Gringotts, or you open your own shop up. They're your three options in life. And yeah, so then he's like, "What's your Quidditch team?" "Oh, don't having it." And then obviously Hagrid's like, "It's a bit too complicated to explain." He then went off explaining all the four balls, the positions, the seven players, describing famous games he'd been to. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Ron's been to lots of matches. I thought you were poor, mate. Like you've been to lots of Quidditch matches. I don't believe it, unless you've just like flown up and you can watch it from a distance because it's all played in the air. I guess there's a way to watch it for free if you like at a crappier stadium. I'd love to see outside the Quidditch book what the other stadiums actually look like and how they hide them and stuff. Because, yeah, like if it's a local team, the Holyhead Harpies or the Chudley Cannons, where do the Chudley Cannons play? And how do they hide it from Muggles? Always interesting. And then Malfoy appears. Draco Malfoy. Three boys entered. He recognised the one immediately. It was a pale boy from Madame Walkins. He showed Harry a lot more interest than he's shown back in Diagon Alley. And this is interesting, of course, because there is talking getting in the Chamber of Secrets, like how people, certainly Macmillan talk about it. I think it's a bit of extra writing in the background, like when Voldemort fell, the Death Eaters were looking for like the next big guy, like, oh, who are we going to rally behind now? And a lot of people thought, right, well, he went to kill Harry Potter because he thought he was a threat. Maybe Harry's the next great big wizard. He's already defeated Voldemort. And obviously Malfoy is like on that sort of thing, like cautious, like try and get closer. Like if he'd have known Potter was going to school that year, Lucius probably told like try and find out about that Harry Potter guy, see what he's like, see if he's the next big thing, the next sort of like big guy. And obviously that's why he's here. So he's coming. He's like, yes. He's looking at the other boys. The two next to him were the thickest and extremely mean, standing either side. They were like bodyguards. In a bold voice, this is Crabbe, Mrs. Goyle. And my name's Drake Malfoy. Draco Malfoy. Ron gave a slight cough, which might have been hiding a snigger. Draco Malfoy looked at him. Thinks my name funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. My father told me all about the Weasleys. Have red hair, freckles, and more children than they can afford. And it's like, Ron must be, obviously, we know Ron's aware of like the Malfoys, like, so why is he sort of like laughing at the name Draco Malfoy? Like, if he knows the bad people, it's not really a funny name, I don't think. It's an odd name, but it's not a funny name, like Ronald. That's funnier, Ronald. So he then goes on to, which obviously that thing about Louise is like, oh Malfoy, you're a very lost. It shows how important he's growing up in like a good family is, like, and how influence parents can like have on people. I've seen this in schools, and obviously I see it with my girlfriend. But you can see who the people who are raised well and some who are, and it does have that impact. And obviously, a more broad issue at the moment, especially in the UK. We've just had to get a bit serious for a second. A lot of people growing up, obviously, like their racist sort of views from parents, and obviously things on immigration. It does have an impact on like people, a bit younger than me, even my age. Like it's so mad to think like, people are celebrating like reform, getting stuff. It's like, wow, you really were brought up in a place where you weren't accepting and things like that. And it's such a profound thing. Obviously, I'm getting to the age now where I'll probably be having children in the next 4 to 5, in the next 5 years. And obviously you think, oh God, I mean, my mum and dad did such a great thing of raising me. I'd hate to fuck it up. And obviously I don't hold any of them views, so I can't. But obviously, yeah, just to ensure my child didn't hold any of them stuff. And it's so sad to see people like Malfoy. And again, I'm not a massive fan of Cursed Child, but when Malfoy and Harry reflect on like their school life, and he's like, yeah, I had Crabbe and Goyle, and you had all these, I were a bit jealous. It's like, oh yeah. But obviously that's why, that thing of like, you'll soon find out some wizard families are much better than others, Potter. You don't want to be going and making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you out there. He held out a hand to shake Harry's hand, but Harry didn't take it. And this is the best line, I think. So far, I think I can tell who the wrong sort are for myself. Thanks, he said coolly. Malfoy didn't go red, but a tinge appeared in his pale cheeks. I'd be careful, I were you, Potter. Unless you're a bit politer, you'll give the same way as your parents. And people, like the Malfoy say this a bit. It's like, it's crazy. He's just like, yeah, you'll go the same way as your parents. I think he goes, they didn't know what was good for them either. You hang around with riffraff like the Weasleys and Hagrid that will rub off on you both. It's like, whoa, Malfoy, you're 11 years old. Like, how are you saying these things? You're like, oh, if you'll rub off and you'll go the same, you'll die in the end. Basically, he's threatening to kill him. It's mad. And then Ron's like, oh, do you want to fight? You say that again. Oh, you're going to fight us, are you? Unless you get out now. Harry feeling more bravely when he fell, because Crabbe and Goyle were a lot bigger than them. Goyle reaches towards a chocolate frog, and the next thing, he yells in horror. Scabbers the rat was hanging off his fingers, sharp teeth sunk deep into Goyle's knuckles. Crabbe and Malfoy backed away as Goyle swung Scabbers around and around, howling. And when Scabbers finally flew off, hit the window, all three of them disappeared at once. I always like to think Mrs. Peter Pettigrew hearing a few stuff like, these people, these weren't great people. Like, even when I was in with Voldemort and stuff like that, they probably treated him quite badly. And it's always interesting. I'm gonna again, did Malfoy know? Did Lucius Malfoy? Because again, let me just look at this. Did Lucius Malfoy know Peter Pettigrew was the spy? I always think that, 'cause, like, obviously, did Lucius know about Peter Pettigrew, and but yeah, always interesting that, and I just think like, oh, fair enough, Peter, you've done your one good deed for the year, for probably your life now, and then we get Hermione coming in, Peter being very silly in the corridor. I'm like, God, Hermione, I forgot how annoying Hermione actually is in like these opening chapters. She is a bit like, oh God, I don't know if I like you. And then asking driver like how long you are, like, oh, imagine that, like that driver's probably like, oh, piss off, like we'll be there soon, just go away please, I'm trying to drive a train here. That's just always like, oh. And then obviously just before that we hear about like Ron talking about Crabbe and Goyle just going, you've met Malfoy before, and Harry explained the meeting diagonally. I've heard of his family. They were some of the first to come back to our side after who disappeared. Say they've been bewitched. My dad doesn't believe it. He says Malfoy's father didn't need an excuse to go to the dark side. And again, yeah, it's like, oh, obviously because he's got money, that sort of power and influence with like Cornelius Fudge, he obviously winged his way out like, oh, I was bewitched. I will pay back my deeds with some money. And obviously, he then goes and wears a mask, until he's finally caught and apprehending number 5. But you'd think Dumbledore, like, he should have had more power in terms of like the sort of processing and like this prosecution of people. The order of things must have like being aware of some stuff, and yeah, he was. What he was like that at school was, were you possessed at school, Lucius? Were you always possessed? It's like Dumbledore should have had a bit more saying who he believed was and wasn't sort of under the influence of the Imperious Curse. And someone made a great theory. I can't remember if it was the Supercard or someone else. Like maybe Arthur Weasley was under the Imperious Curse at one point, and that's why he has like that sort of, oh, I was under it, but they wasn't. It's like, oh, they got away with it, same as me. And it's like I'm sort of, but again, we'll sort of touch on that maybe more in Goblet of Fire. I think this way it's more relevant. But yeah, interesting. Obviously, that's already brought like, yeah, the Malfoys, they were on whose side, but he said he was bewitched. And then obviously we finally arrive at Hogwarts. A voice echo through the train, we'll be reaching Hogwarts in 5 minutes. Please leave your luggage on the train. It'll be taken to school separately. Harry's stomach lurched, and then Hagrid booming over. First years, come over here. All right, Harry, follow me. Any more first years? Mind your step now. And really, should there not be a list? What if someone's just got caught on the train or they can't get out? It's a bit busy. Should Hagrid not have like a little register to go, okay, Harry Potter, here. Ron Weasley, here. Mandy Brocklehurst, here. Sally Ann Peakes, here. But instead it's like, yeah, first years, come with me, yeah, we're all here, cool. I don't know if we're all here, but I ain't got a list. You might be over first years, there might be 10 missing. Who knows? We'll work out when we get up to the school. Always just a bit baffling, that. Always feel like we should have some, some list for that. And then we all get into the boats and go across, and Harry is in a boat with Hermione and Neville, which again sort of insinuates their sort of friendship that they're having. Almost we'll get onto this more in later episodes. That sort of like maybe Neville was meant to be part of like the wider group, and we'll touch on that when we look at the sort of Philosopher Stone Chambers, stuff like that. And obviously earlier on, Neville's sort of part of the group in a way, but he gets a bit left behind and sort of in the middle. But at one point, I feel like Neville wanted to be a 4, like it was going to be a 4, but I think when you're writing 4 is a bit too much. A bit like in Harry Potter, in Hogwarts Legacy, like Amit sort of gets left by the wayside. He comes in and out. Now remember, it's mainly like the Poppy, Natsai, and Sebastian. Like you want to add a 4th, but then it gets a bit muddled and stuff like that. And then obviously we see we'll get your first sight of Hogwarts. The narrow path certainly opened up. A high mountain on the other side, windows sparkling in the sky. It's a vast castle with many turrets and towers. The boats go forward. They reach an underground, the opening of the cliff. It was along a dark tunnel, not tuckle. They clambered out, and then, oi, you, is this your toad? Somehow Trevor was just in one of the boats. Like, did he just leave it? Did he lose him again, or did he find him on the train and when he put him in his pockets and then left him, or did he just give up? Like, right, oh God, what's Trevor? Oh, my gran's gonna kill me. My great uncle Algy's gonna kill me. Oh, what's gonna happen here? And he's like, oh, I mean, Trevor just hopped on a boat, or did he? Yeah, it's always interesting to think, how did you do that? And then Hagrid, absolutely brilliantly, when they're walking just before the oak front door, everyone here, you still got your toad? It's like, all right, Hagrid, leave the poor boy alone. It's probably different. Oh, God, everyone's just going to think I'm the fucking toad loser already. Oh, no. Hagrid raised a gigantic fist, knocked 3 times on the castle door. And that was chapter 6. Wow, again, I'm just always so shocked at there's how much to talk about and like how many little avenues I go down and things like that. But it was absolutely brilliant to discuss and to have a bit of fun with. Again, really good chapter. Obviously, we really get into the Wizarding World. And obviously, it's mad how it takes 7 chapters. You have to get to chapter 7 before you're at Hogwarts in this one. And that's already over what? So that's page 85, so you've had to get 84 pages to get to Hogwarts. It's quite a build-up to the story. But again, I still think Diagon Alley is my favourite chapter so far, but obviously we get to meet so many good characters, Weasley's, Hermione. Don't forget Trevor the Toad Neville. Obviously Neville himself, Crabbe and Goyle, a proper introduction to Malfoy. And hear a bit more about the Wizarding World and starting to we're along the journey with Harry and learning about it at the same time. I think that's what's so good about the books. Like you're learning along with Harry. Harry's not like this expert in the Wizarding World. By book 6 he sort of is, but there's still a few things to learn. But each year you're sort of still just going on this journey with Harry and learning stuff as he does. And I think it works that way when people explain stuff to him because he has no idea. So yes, I just want to obviously thank you all for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed as always. We'll be back next Wednesday where I think we'll be ranking the books themselves, so do join me for then. But of course, next Friday, the 15th of May, we will be on chapter 7, The Sorting Hat. And again, I think this is where the book really kicks off and we're going to have a really good time with this. And I might even sing a song for you. So of course, do like, subscribe, comment, share. I'll be seeing you all soon for episode 13, unlucky for some, the Harry Potter podcast, Potterwatch. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.